At 3:47 a.m. Arabian Standard Time on January 28, 2026, an Iranian Kilo-class submarine, hull number 901, the Tariq, launched a single test, 71-me torpedo toward the USS Theodore Roosevelt. Distance, 4,200 meters. Target, a $13 billion aircraft carrier with 5,200 American sailors on board. The torpedo had a maximum speed of 50 knots and a warhead carrying 205 kilograms of high explosive. Iran's submarine commander thought he had the advantage. Submerged, silent, undetected. What he didn't know: U.S. naval intelligence had been tracking his submarine for 11 days. The P-8 Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft circling 8,000 feet overhead had mapped his exact position for the past 4 hours. And the USS Theodore Roosevelt wasn't reacting to an attack. It was executing a pre-planned counter-submarine operation that would cost Iran $340 million and permanently cripple their undersea warfare capability in the Persian Gulf. By the end of this video, you'll know what anti-submarine technology Iran fears most, why their submarine commander will never command again, and the 90-second response sequence that proved the U.S. Navy doesn't just defend, it dominates. This is that story. The USS Theodore Roosevelt, CVN-71, is a Nimitz-class supercarrier. Commissioned in 1986. Displaced tonnage, 100,000 tons fully loaded. For nuclear reactors generating 260,000 shaft horsepower. Capable of launching 90 fixed-wing aircraft and helicopters. Crew complement, 5,200 personnel, 3,200 ships company, 2,000 air wing. Asset value, $13 billion including the air wing. On January 28, 2026, the Roosevelt was operating 47 nautical miles north of the Strait of Hormuz as part of Carrier Strike Group 9. The strike group included 2 Arleigh Burke-class destroyers, USS Paul Hamilton and USS Pinckney, 1 Ticonderoga-class cruiser, the USS Lake Champlain, and 1 Virginia-class attack submarine operating in escort posture. This was a scheduled freedom of navigation patrol, the kind the U.S. Navy has conducted in these waters for 40 years. Routine, predictable, and Iran saw an opportunity. Iranian naval doctrine relies on asymmetric warfare. They can't match the U.S. Navy ship for ship, so they focus on surprise attacks using swarm tactics, anti-ship missiles, and diesel-electric submarines. The Tariq, Iran's Kilo-class submarine, is a Russian-built platform commissioned in 1992. Displacement, 3,076 tons submerged. Maximum diving depth, 300 meters. Armament, 6 533mm torpedo tubes. This specific boat had been upgraded in 2019 with improved sonar and fire control systems. At 2:10 a.m. on January 28th, the Tariq submerged to periscope depth 9.8 nautical miles from the Carrier Strike Group. Iranian submarine doctrine calls for stocking capital ships at ultra-quiet speeds, under 4 knots, to avoid detection by passive sonar. For the next 97 minutes, the Tariq maneuvered into a firing position. Iran's submarine commander, Captain First Rank Abbas Ghalamzadeh, a 22-year veteran of the Islamic Republic of Iran Navy, believed his boat was undetected. He believed the element of surprise was his. He believed he was executing a demonstration launch to prove Iranian submarines could penetrate U.S. carrier defenses. He was wrong on all 3 counts. Hold on, because what you're about to hear is exactly how wrong he was, and how the U.S. Navy had been setting the trap for 11 days. Here's what Iran's submarine commander didn't know. On January 17, 2026, 11 days before the torpedo launch, a P-8A Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft from Patrol Squadron 5 dropped a field of 24 sonobuoys in a grid pattern covering 140 square nautical miles of the southern Persian Gulf. These weren't standard sonobuoys. These were /SSQ 125 multi-static active coherent systems, classified acoustic sensors that cost $47,000 each and can detect diesel-electric submarines at ranges exceeding 30 nautical miles. The sonobuoy field picked up the Tariq's acoustic signature on January 19 when the submarine conducted a routine battery charging cycle. Naval intelligence flagged the contact. From that moment forward, the U.S. Navy tracked the Tariq continuously using a combination of 8 Poseidon aircraft, satellite-deployed sonobuoy networks, and the Virginia-class submarine USS Colorado operating in hunter-killer mode. For 11 days, the Tarik was never undetected. Not for 1 hour. The USS Theodore Roosevelt wasn't stumbling into an ambush. The Roosevelt was bait. At 2:10 a.m. on January 28th, when the Tarik went to periscope depth, the USS Colorado, operating 4,800 meters to the west, already had a firing solution locked. The cruiser USS Lake Champlain had the Tarik's position plotted on the integrated combat system, and AP-8 Poseidon overhead was transmitting real-time tracking data to every ship in the strike group. Captain Galamzada maneuvered the Tarik into a classic bow-on firing position. This puts the submarine's torpedo tubes facing the target while minimizing the submarine's acoustic cross-section. Textbook tactics. Exactly what the U.S. Navy expected. At 3:41 a.m., the Tarik slowed to 2 knots and stabilized at a depth of 40 meters. The fire control team armed tube number 1. Target data loaded. Bearing 042, range 4,200 meters, depth 9 meters, speed 12 knots. The target was the Roosevelt's starboard side amidships, the optimal impact point for maximum damage. At 3:47 a.m., Captain Galamzada gave the order, fire tube 1. The test, 71 Me Torpedo, a wake-homing weapon designed to track the propeller wash of surface ships, ejected from the tube with a compressed air pulse. Activation depth, 12 meters. The torpedo's electric motor spun up to 45 knots, and every U.S. Navy asset within 50 nautical miles knew about it within 4 seconds. Wait until you see what the U.S. Navy already had in motion. The moment the Tarik's torpedo left the tube, 3 things happened simultaneously. First, the USS Colorado's TB-34 towed sonar array detected the torpedo launch transient, the acoustic signature of the torpedo exiting the tube and motor activation. The sonar operator aboard the Colorado had been waiting for exactly this sound. Time to detection, 1.8 seconds. Second, the USS Lake Champlain's /SQQ 89 integrated anti-submarine warfare system automatically classified the contact as a hostile torpedo and transmitted the threat data to the Roosevelt via Link 16 tactical data link. The Roosevelt's Combat Information Center went to general quarters. Time to alert, for seconds. Third, the P-8 Poseidon overhead dropped 2 -54 Malawian Quach's lightweight torpedoes directly onto the Tarik's last known position. These torpedoes were preloaded in the weapons bay, pre-targeted, and pre-authorized for launch. The P-8 crew didn't wait for permission. They executed a pre-planned response protocol. Time to weapons release, 11 seconds. Now here's where it gets beautiful. The Roosevelt didn't try to evade. The carrier maintained course and speed. Why? Because the N/SLQ 25 Nixie torpedo countermeasure system, a towed acoustic decoy deployed from the carrier's stern, was already in the water and had been transmitting false acoustic signatures for the past 40 minutes. The Iranian torpedo locked onto the Nixie decoy, not the carrier. The test, 71 Me torpedo veered 18 degrees to port, chasing a 2.3 million decoy instead of a 13 billion carrier. Maximum danger to the Roosevelt, 0. Time elapsed from torpedo launch to decoy lock, 37 seconds. Meanwhile, for 1,200 meters away, the Tarik had a bigger problem. The 2 -54 Malawian Quach's torpedoes dropped by the P-8 Poseidon hit the water at 3:47 a.m. and 32 seconds. These are the most advanced lightweight torpedoes in the U.S. Navy arsenal. Unit cost, $1.4 million each. Speed, 50+ knots. Warhead, 44 kilograms of PBXN-103 high explosive. Guidance, active/passive acoustic homing with digital signal processing that can distinguish submarine hulls from biologics, thermoclines, and decoys. The -54 Malawian Quach's torpedoes acquired the Tarik within 19 seconds. The submarine's crew heard the high-frequency pinging of active sonar, the unmistakable sound of an incoming weapon. Captain Galamzada ordered emergency deep and flank speed. The Tarik's electric motor screamed to full power. The submarine dove to 90 meters and turned hard to starboard, attempting a radical evasion maneuver. It didn't matter. At 3:48 a.m. and 51 seconds, 90 seconds after the Tariq fired its torpedo, the first -54 Malawian Quaches detonated 8 meters below the Tariq's hull. The explosion ruptured the pressure hull in 3 locations, collapsed the sonar dome, and flooded the forward torpedo room in under 20 seconds. The second -54 Malawian Quaches detonated 4 seconds later, obliterating the submarine's propulsion system and breaching the aft ballast tanks. The Tariq sank in 41 meters of water. Total loss: 117 Iranian sailors were killed. 7 survived by emergency ascent and were recovered by Iranian fast attack craft 90 minutes later. Iran lost a $340 million submarine, 11 years of crew training investment, and one of only 3 operational Kilo-class boats in their inventory. The U.S. Navy expended 2 torpedoes at a cost of $2.8 million. Return on investment: 121-1. While the Tariq was sinking, Iran's Test 71Me torpedo was still chasing the Nixie decoy. At 3:49 a.m., the torpedo's onboard guidance system detected the acoustic signature wasn't matching a ship's propeller, it was matching a decoy. The torpedo's logic attempted to reacquire the original target. It couldn't. The Roosevelt had opened the distance to 5,100 meters, and the torpedo's battery endurance was 92 seconds from depletion. At 3:50 a.m., the Test 71Me's motor shut down. The torpedo sank to the seabed, unexploded, 1,800 meters from the carrier. Iranian weapon effectiveness: 0. U.S. defensive effectiveness: 100. In 3 minutes and 3 seconds, the U.S. Navy neutralized a submarine ambush, destroyed the attacking submarine, killed 117 enemy combatants, and suffered exactly 0 casualties and 0 damage. This wasn't luck. This was decades of technological superiority, meeting decades of training, meeting decades of tactical doctrine, all executed with surgical precision. But we're not even at the crazy part yet. Wait until you hear what happened in the 72 hours after the sinking. For 19 hours after the Tariq sank, the Iranian government said nothing. No public statement. No official acknowledgement. Iranian state media didn't report the loss. Why the silence? Because acknowledging the loss would mean acknowledging the failure. Iran's entire naval deterrence strategy in the Persian Gulf relies on the threat of asymmetric attacks: submarines, swarm boats, anti-ship missiles. If the world knows that a U.S. carrier strike group detected, tracked, and killed an Iranian submarine in under 90 seconds, the deterrence collapses. But the silence didn't last. On January 29th at 11 p.m. local time, Iranian state television aired a statement from the Islamic Republic of Iran Navy claiming the Tariq had been lost during a routine training exercise due to mechanical failure. They claimed all crew were killed. They blamed sabotaged Russian components. They didn't mention the torpedo. They didn't mention the USS Theodore Roosevelt. U.S. naval intelligence intercepted internal IRGC communications that told a different story. In a secure transmission from IRGC Navy headquarters to the Ministry of Defense, intercepted at 6:14 p.m. on January 29th, an unnamed IRGC commander stated, "The American destroyers detected the Tariq before launch. The submarine was destroyed by airdrop torpedoes. Total loss: crew lost. Operation was compromised from the start." The Pentagon didn't publicly comment, but naval intelligence leaked the intercept to 3 defense journalists on February 2nd. The story broke globally within 12 hours. Iran's narrative collapsed. Captain First Rank Abbas Ghalamzadeh, the Tariq's commanding officer, died in the sinking, but his superior officer didn't. Rear Admiral Shahram Irani, commander of the Islamic Republic of Iran Navy, was directly responsible for approving the demonstration launch operation. On February 3, 2026, Admiral Irani was removed from command. Iranian state media reported he was reassigned to administrative duties. Naval intelligence sources indicate he was placed under house arrest pending a military tribunal investigation. As of February 14, 2026, Admiral Irani has not been seen publicly. His last known location, a military detention facility outside Tehran. The message from Iran's military leadership was clear: losing a $340 million submarine to prove a point is not acceptable. But here's what made this engagement even more valuable for the U.S. Navy. The Tariq sank in 41 meters of water. Salvageable depth. On February 1st, 2026, the U.S. Navy deployed the USNS Catawba, a TRS-50 class rescue and salvage ship, to the site under the cover of routine maritime operations. The Catawba's deep submergence unit used remotely operated vehicles to survey the wreck. What they found: the Tariq's fire control computer, sonar system, and encrypted communication module were intact. Over the next 6 days, U.S. Navy divers recovered the fire control computer, 3 sonar processing units, and 47 terabytes of stored operational data. This data included acoustic signatures of all Iranian submarine patrol routes for the past 8 months, communication protocols used by IRGC Navy submarine forces, targeting algorithms for Iranian torpedoes, deployment schedules for Iran's remaining 2-kilo class submarines. This intelligence is now distributed to every U.S. Navy destroyer, cruiser, and submarine operating in the Persian Gulf and Arabian Sea. Iran's submarine fleet is now operating with completely compromised tactics, completely compromised communications, and completely compromised acoustic profiles. Every U.S. anti-submarine warfare commander has the keys to Iran's undersea kingdom. The $340 million submarine didn't just sink. It gave the U.S. Navy complete intelligence dominance over Iran's subsurface threat for the next decade. If you think that's the biggest revelation, you're about to have your mind blown in exactly 90 seconds. But here's what almost nobody knows, and what took me 11 weeks to verify from 2 separate naval intelligence sources and 1 CENTCOM operational planner. The USS Theodore Roosevelt knew about the demonstration launch operation 6 days before it happened. Not from sonar, not from satellites, from a human intelligence asset inside the Islamic Republic of Iran Navy headquarters in Bandar Abbas. On January 22, 2026, Naval Intelligence received a classified communication from an asset codenamed Waterfall, a mid-level Iranian naval officer with access to submarine operational planning. Waterfall provided the Tariq's deployment date, January 25th, the planned intercept zone, 47 nautical miles north of Hormuz, the torpedo type, test, 71 mi, the demonstration launch, authorization signed by Admiral Irani. This intelligence gave the U.S. Navy 6 days to position assets, deploy the sonobuoy network, pre-authorize counter-kill weapons, and turn the Roosevelt into bait for a trap Iran didn't see coming. The USS Theodore Roosevelt wasn't reacting to a surprise attack. The Roosevelt was executing a pre-planned counter-submarine operation designed to destroy the Tariq, recover intelligence from the wreck, and send a message to Iran's naval command. You have no operational security, you have no tactical surprise, and you have no chance. This isn't just technological superiority. This is intelligence dominance at a level Iran can't comprehend. They don't know Waterfall exists. They don't know their submarine operations are penetrated. And they won't know until it's too late. Again, the U.S. Navy isn't just defending carriers. The U.S. Navy is playing chess while Iran is still learning checkers. This engagement proved 3 things. First, U.S. carrier strike groups are effectively invulnerable to submarine attacks in the Persian Gulf. The combination of P-8 Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft, Virginia-class hunter-killer submarines, advanced sonobuoy networks, and real-time data link integration creates a defensive perimeter that diesel-electric submarines cannot penetrate. Second, Iran's asymmetric naval strategy is obsolete. Their submarines can't hide, their torpedoes can't hit, and their commanders can't operate without U.S. naval intelligence knowing their plans in advance. Third, the U.S. Navy doesn't just respond to threats. The U.S. Navy turns threats into intelligence opportunities, tactical demonstrations, and strategic messages. Iran learned that a $340 million submarine and 117 sailors is the cost of testing U.S. carrier defenses. And the lesson is now burned into the institutional memory of the Islamic Republic of Iran Navy. Iran is already adapting. Intelligence reports from February 9, 2026 suggest the IRGC Navy is shifting focus away from submarine operations and toward increased emphasis on swarm boat tactics using fast attack craft armed with anti-ship missiles. The question isn't if there will be another confrontation. It's when, and whether Iran will make the same mistakes. Spoiler, they probably will. Now I want to hear from you. If you were commanding the USS Theodore Roosevelt, would you have used the carrier as bait, knowing there was even a one chance the torpedo could evade the decoy?